We're live.
We're live. Hello to two cameras today. Hello
Yes.
to you and hello to you.
Hello.
This is fun.
This is fun. Okay.
We're simultaneously doing this.
I know. So this is Jennifer's camera.
Exactly.
So I'm Betty Lou with Radiate and Bloomberg, and then you introduce yourself, Jennifer.
And I am Jennifer Walsh, and this is Betty Lou's camera. So, again, this is going to be something fun and different to address two different audiences at the same time.
Exactly.
Something fun to do.
Which I think is a first for Facebook, by the way.
I think so too. Hello, Mark Zuckerberg. We're talking to you. Let's do this more often.
So the reason why we're sitting here, we're both, not only because we are being baked right now in the sun.
It's September and it's almost like 120 degrees in the
Exactly.
shade.
We're like sweating bullets.
I'm trying
right
to torture you,
now.
in case you didn't know. This is my office, and I bring you to my office just to sweat.
So yeah, well, and thanks, by the way. So Jennifer, so you emailed me, or I emailed you actually first because you're a Radiate member.
Exactly.
And then you emailed me back and said, "Oh, Joe, let's do this." You said you do this. Well, you explain it, because what you do is you bring people to the park, right, which is your office.
Yes.
And you talk to them about their careers, or tell us a little bit about.
So a walk with Walsh really happened very authentically, and I really didn't plan for it to turn into what it is right now, which is a weekly segment or series online. And it's just to take people out of the four walls of an office and really have them speak outside. And really
and we're in Central Park right now.
Yeah, we're in Central Park next to a boat pond, and Fifth Avenue's over here, and lots of tourists behind you.
Helicopters.
And helicopters, exactly. But it's just a way to just get out of the office and really think on your feet and just be light about it and just think differently. And it's been really interesting. And it's mostly about entrepreneurship, small business, and what people are doing around the country that I think is really compelling and different and really giving. So I really like to hear what people are doing that's different.
Right, and the New York Post recently wrote an article about they wrote an article about walking meetings, right?
Yes.
So walking meetings, which I think is becoming a more trendy thing among tech companies, but others as well. Is that that's sort of what the New York Post glommed on, right?
Yes.
Which is like, oh, you're doing walking meetings.
Yes.
And that's getting people to open up.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's just have a conversation.
I know. This is kind of funny because I have been on Betty's network, Bloomberg TV, for many different times. We've never actually, I don't think we've ever sat on a panel before.
No.
So how is that possible?
Which is weird.
I know. So she's an incredible anchor at Bloomberg TV covering finance and business for how many years has it been now?
Oh my God, I'm gonna age myself.
No, whatever.
Almost 10 years.
Okay, age yourself. I love it. So she's an incredible anchor at Bloomberg TV, and not only that, she also just started a program called Radiate. So can you give us a little idea of what Radiate is and why you started it?
Yeah. So I had to. So a lot of people have asked me, like, what is Radiate, and does it mean that you've left Bloomberg? And like, there've been a ton of questions about that. So the answer is no, I haven't left Bloomberg. In fact, Bloomberg has been very supportive. Shout out to them and to my bosses and to Mike and everyone else. They've been supportive of this, and I think some of that is to the to the philosophy of Mike and Bloomberg itself, which is they want to support entrepreneurship, small businesses. And so I went to them and said, I have had this itch for a long, long time that I wanted to start my own thing. But I also love working out. I love my job. I love what I do, and I don't want to leave the company. I want to stay at Bloomberg.
What a great culture. I'm going to interrupt you because not everyone is able to do that, and the fact that you are in a culture where people are like, yes, we want to cultivate that love of entrepreneurship, and that you're able to blossom and flourish in something that you love to do, as well as doing your day-to-day job.
And doing your right. Which by the way is driving me slowly crazy. But that's another point.
That's okay.
My kids
a
are
whole
like,
other show. That's a whole other show. Yes.
But what Radiate is about is it kind of grew out of actually the interviews I was doing with people like, we actually hadn't talked on Bloomberg, but like people like you who are very successful. It grew out of not only doing these sort of Bloomberg type interviews, but then it was more of the interview afterwards and the chatting afterwards, where I learned from these CEOs, from the entrepreneurs, like what it took to start a business, what mistakes they made along the way, and I really started to learn and hear their stories, and from there I thought, this is great content. We should put this out there.
Yeah.
And there really isn't a platform out there that's putting it all together for viewers and for users, and so that's how Radiate got born.
It's a great funnel, and it's a great, again, authentic thing that happened for you because you see it and you understand that this entrepreneurship and starting a company and starting a business is really, really hard.
Oh my God, it's so hard.
And there are lots.
And you've done it many times.
Done it, and I've gone through all the motions. I still am going through those motions of starting and creating and closing and selling and all these different parts of it, and it's ongoing. And I think you even mentioned before in your Radiate program is entrepreneurship. I think is born. You're born into being an entrepreneur. You can learn the skill set to become great leaders and great people in business, but entrepreneurship is something that I think you innately have. It's like part of your DNA. So I can't not continuously be creating something. And it's hard. It's almost like a point where I started a company and now I'm no longer with that company. But people are like, so what are you doing next? And that pressure has been really heavy because they're expecting, like, what are you going to do next? I'm like, I don't know. I'm under the gun.
But you know you want to do something.
I want to do something, yes. So it's just funny.
So explain to our Radiate members, explain to them who you, like, what you do.
Okay.
You're in retail.
That's my read. So I started a company back in 1998 called The Beauty Bar, and it became the first omni-channel beauty brand in the country. So what that encompassed was brick and mortar stores, a website, and a weekly TV program. And back then it was really fun because it was all new. It was completely new. No one was really doing those three facets yet. So I really had an opportunity to grow these brands that I worked with. These brands were Kiehl's and Fresh and La Mer and Bobbi Brown, Stila, just some fun brands I've loved for a long time. So I did that till 2010.
Right.
I sold in 2010. And so Quincy is a company that so Quincy had diapers.com and soap.com. And then a year later, 2011, I believe Amazon came and bought Quincy.
Yep.
So
technically to Amazon.
Technically, yeah. By some different roads, yes. So it was challenging. It was hard to then take what I created and let it go, basically, because I'm no longer involved after my year-long contract.
Right.
So then, but I've always been in that retail space, and then after that, an international company asked me to help them roll out their U.S. infrastructure, which included lots of stores. And here goes a sorry. See, in fact, you both into my office.
Actually, trash. Golf cart.
Yeah, that's what we do in Central Park.
So tell me what. So give me some advice as an entrepreneur. Like, what are, because it is very much up and down, up and down, up and down. And but the one thing that people have said to me, which is absolutely true, is that being an entrepreneur means that you have unlimited upside, which is one of the most thrilling things about being an entrepreneur. But the flip side is you have unlimited downside.
Incredible lows. And if you don't have a great support system, number one, I would say you need to have your health. Because if you don't have your health and you're aching or you're in pain or something is wrong, it's really gonna take a toll on you.
Yeah.
So you have to have your health and have your family, have friends, have a good network of people around you that you can rely on and really trust with your feelings, because there's some days you think, I don't think I can do another day. I can't. And it's just the stress of money. It's the stress of the pressure. It's the stress of, can I do this? Can I reach a certain goal? And then also at a point where people have a certain expectation of you because you've done something so successfully before, and if you mess up, that make you look bad. And also it's like a fear of failure in other people's eyes, which I had to get over. I really had to get over after the beauty bar because it was such a huge success for me that I thought, okay, now I have this.
But did you feel like you had to do it again? Like, is that
almost?
Is that the pressure you're
almost, yeah. I felt like, okay, my next thing has to be great, and what if it isn't? And it wasn't. It wasn't great. I mean, it was great to a point, but some things happened, and so it's kind of like this thing of, okay, that wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. What can I do next to kind of? So entrepreneurship is the wins are amazing, but the lows can be hard. So you have to really have a good support system around you, for sure.
And what do you think was like? We always like to hear about, like learning from failure.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what would you say was like your biggest mistake?
There's a lot. Making sure you trust your gut, and I've written about this before. I've actually written articles about gut, and I have to listen to myself better in trusting your gut, because it's so true. And I've done it before. And I know innately it's your body telling you. It's a visceral reaction, and you should always go with that. I can't even say it strongly enough, because it even happened to me 2 years ago, and I knew I shouldn't have done something, and I did it, and it really, I think, cost me what I was trying to do. So.
Really?
Yeah, so it's kind of these like little things and I read all the time. I'm reading about what you're posting, and I listen to people, and some people don't do that, but it kind of helps me say, okay, I'm not crazy, or I'm on the right path, right? I know I'm doing the right thing, and it has to come genuinely. Like what you're doing is coming naturally from you. Right. So when you're really pushing and forcing, trying to be something you're not, or trying to be in a field you're not supposed to be in, you can kind of sense it from somebody. So when I'm being sold something from somebody that you know, I'm like, that's not right. That's just not right.
That's a great point. I mean, and yes, I mean that was kind of my it was sort of like if I wasn't gonna do this, I would totally regret it for the rest of my life. And
that was gonna be one of my questions for you.
Yeah.
For today, like one of my interview questions
Oh,
was.
sorry. So,
no, that's
I always
though.
step into the interviewer role. Like I'm always
I
like.
do too. This is hard. We're having competing roles today. Conflicting ideas. No, this is exactly it. Like this is exactly my question was like, what would you have done if you weren't an anchor or journalist? This is what you would want to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like to roll back the years. I mean, when I graduated, it was like right when the .com boom was like just beginning, or actually was in the thick of it, and. So again, I'm dating myself, and I had a lot of my friends who were like joining tech companies, or they were like getting rich on all their startups. And I remember thinking like at the time, because I was working at a newswire, but I loved it. Like that was like journalism was like is my passion, or reporting's my passion. And I remember at that time I thought like, oh, I'd love to like leave and start a company. But I really didn't know what it was going to be, or even like that I even had the guts to do it. But I just always thinking back now, 20 or so years ago, like I definitely like had that itch. I just didn't have.
It is
the
an itch
confidence.
too.
It is totally an itch, and I just didn't have the confidence to do it. So and you know what? And luckily I didn't, because I would have failed miserably. I just know I would have, because I had no idea. I mean, I was like 23. I was like, like you just. I mean, look, trust me. There's a lot of like 23-year-olds who are very
doing great things,
and they can run big, run companies. But I definitely wasn't one of them. So I'm glad I didn't do that, and I stayed with my path. But I just could never shake off that itch. And so, I have a little bit of ADHD, where like it's like I want to always be doing like 20 different things.
I call that entrepreneurship.
It is
I
entrepreneurship.
don't even call it AD. I call it the ultimate
It
crab.
is though. It is.
So
It's
yes,
actually.
I can do that.
Yes. I mean, like throughout my whole life, and people who are close to me know this. It's like I can't just sit and do one thing. Like I have to do like 1,000 different things.
Sure.
And sometimes that can be bad, because not everything that you do is obviously. I mean, a majority of things you do is going to be a failure, but some of the things you do will strike. But I just could never sit still. So like I wrote books, or and I joke about it.
Can you tell us the name of the book?
Oh yeah. So I wrote. Well, the first one I wrote was called Age Smart. I wrote that with a friend of mine. Who's a professor at Emory University. Hi, Jeff. Rosenzweig.
Hi, Jeff.
Who's still a great friend. And he and I wrote this book about like just how do you age well. I mean, one of the big things is obviously like your health and what are people. But what we saw was that, or what he really saw, being an economist, was just this like aging baby boomer population. People were going to delay their retirement, and people were going to work longer and longer. And lo and behold, that is exactly what is happening right now. So we wrote that book, and then years later I wrote Work Smarts, which is sort of like, I guess you could call it like the seed to what Radiate is about, because Work Smarts is really about like talking to 13 or I think it was up to 15 like major CEOs. So it was like Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Jamie Dimon, like those guys. Luckily enough, like sat down with me and like spent hours with me to just talk about like what made them
It's a
successful.
testament to you as well, because to get a CEO to sit with you, I mean, it is huge. Like, that's really Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan. Like, these are big people to have sit with you and really release their energy to say, okay, this is what we do.
I think they liked it though. But on the flip side, so here's another thing is always like people. I always say like, who's the most important person in the world? It's like themselves.
Yeah.
So I also think like I also think like they never get a chance to talk about themselves in a way. So I think sometimes they like that idea of like,
that makes sense.
Someone's there to listen and hear their stories. Because most people want to, like, when they talk to Warren Buffett, they want to hear, like, investment advice,
Exactly.
Or Jamie Dimon, it's all about, like, the business and the banking industry. But, like, they also want to talk about, like, I mean, they've done incredible things. Like, how did they become successful? So, anyway.
Big food for her. I think so. I think it's huge. And also, guys, I'm going to say one thing. If you have questions, I'll answer them later, and I'll have Betty answer them later as well.
Yeah.
But I know we can't answer them right now because we're kind of conversing quickly at a rapid pace.
Indeed.
But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to tell everyone that they can definitely ask questions.
Same for both as well. So tell me a little bit about, so how did Walk with Walsh, I mean, I know you mentioned that like you wanted to get people out of their office, but like, what was the trigger for that?
Well, people that know me personally, and if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, I'm in Central Park every day, and I take pictures and I photograph the park, and it has become a real zen place for me. I went through.
Do you live near here?
I do. I live just a few blocks away from here, so it was kind of also a respite for me when I got a divorce. Went through divorce 6 years ago, I would be here with my dog, and it really kind of soothed me. It was a place for me to be, and I'd walk for hours. It didn't matter if it snowed, rained, sleet, I was here. And I loved it. It was just this place and quiet from the city, because it's, when you go a little bit deeper in the park, it's really quiet. It's really, really quiet. So it was just a place, and it was very much of just something that people would come from around the country that I know from college or from speaking engagements. They would come to the city and say, hey, any chance you're in Central Park? And I'd usually say, give me 5 minutes, I'll meet you there.
Right.
So some people that are following me on Facebook have actually met me in the park, and I'll walk with them and talk about life, and it was just something more of just about life and what they're doing now.
Right.
And then it turned into people saying, well, I have some ideas, I'd love to just talk to you about them. I said, well, let's go in the park. Because I felt like it was very much a creative environment. The season's changing, the leaves are changing, so it's kind of a very creative space. I'm a creative thinker. I might be a businesswoman, but in my brain, I'm a creative. I've always been a creative. So a lot of ad agencies have been asking for me to come and just, hey, can we walk in the park with you? Do a program we can center around to really learn how to think outside our own box and our own minds. So let's do that. So I'm working with different companies to help them think differently, more creatively, and just get out of their own way for a little bit.
Soon you'll have like an entourage of people like walking with you.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. People are like, how much does it cost to walk with Walsh? I don't know. So it's been really interesting, but a lot of people, it's become my place for just to kind of talk to people. And I really want to elevate people that are doing unique things like yourself, and to tell their stories, because there are so many great stories out there like what you're doing. It's a way to really elevate people and their mission and their jobs and how they really they find real purpose for what they're doing. And I think that's important, because I think if you don't have a purpose inside internally, and we also have a visitor.
This is daycare. This is about life.
In the park.
This is life.
Yep, it's good. See, she's happy. She's alive. She's having a great time. So that's kind of what it turned into. Sorry, we're doing this live. So yeah, it's kind of has spun into this different thing. So people are now asking us to talk and walk. So now I'm turning it into an online weekly series, to really just talk to people.
So how do you build an audience? That's something we're really figuring out ourselves.
That's a great question. Building an audience for me has been very slowly over the years, because it came from my first business. So this was long before social media. So the people that finally sign up on social, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, that was after I'd already sold off the beauty bar, basically.
Yeah.
So the people then found me, and doing TV every month kind of helps that. But it's really just, I feel like I'm never trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to ask for much. I just try and give. Yeah. Whether it be through my photographs, and I really didn't do that intentionally. It was just something that I felt I wanted to share the beauty of New York or the different places I went. And also, to a point, it's different. I don't really talk about this very often, but I have a twin sister who's disabled. So she is profoundly disabled in a wheelchair, and she doesn't get to see like the beauty that I get to see. So I always feel like I have to live in the moment, every moment, because I have been given as a gift to see all this beauty around me, and I want to share that. Yeah. And no matter how low the lows go in life and how the highs are, it's just still I have to be able to be thankful every day for I get to see this, and I get to talk to people like you who are excited about doing what you're doing. And so I kind of it just happened organically to build my audience just very much more. I'm so glad you like my pictures. I'm so glad you like that I'm sharing my life.
Well, Scott Galloway has said to us, like, it's like hand-to-hand combat, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, like, and I agree with him. Like, it's building it slowly, but steadily, and just, his tip was like, just always want, as long as like the next week's number is higher than the prior week, then you're doing a good job.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So that actually was like a very good piece of advice he gave us, and also very relevant. And very true. So tell me a little bit about like how you. Okay, so talk about being a woman entrepreneur, because I don't think we've talked a lot about that on Radiate, in fact, but that is a big thing, because our audience is both male and female. But we have a lot of entrepreneurs on our network, and I'm curious about like being a woman entrepreneur. Like,
that's a really good question. So I don't talk about this very often on my platform. It's been very interesting, because when I started, there weren't many female entrepreneurs. This was 1998. I knew of 2 or 3. So it was really hard, and the 2 or 3 that I'm talking about are probably following on Facebook right now because we're still friends, because it was this little tiny
It's a tiny
tight-knit
club.
Yeah, and there were no investors back then. There's no, hey, let's call this person. It was like you start at $30,000 to start a company, and that was it. And I didn't have any books. I didn't have any classes. I had the Small Business Association, but that was it. So growing my company, I had to also be very understanding of that I have a role to play to all the women that I was working with to show that I'm a leader that will get on the floor and I will scrub the floor before I ask anyone else to do it. So it was more of growing a culture that it was all about each other, and we're going to support each other, and if I can do it, I'm going to ask you to do it. I'm going to assume that you want to help out.
Yeah. Did you go out and like hire women though?
It was all
were
women.
you conscious about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was all women. My whole company
Part of the
was
industry
women.
too.
Yeah.
It's beauty. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beauty and it was women. So it was, but it was something I really loved, and I worked every day when I had the beauty bar. I loved it. But it was very conscious to make sure I surround myself with other great women, and that happened with age. That really didn't. I was 28 when I started my first company, so I didn't know all the pieces. So I was putting these puzzle pieces together over the years that now, in the past, I'd say 6 to 8 years,
Right.
I really find great women. And, it's a conscious effort because we don't have a lot of time in our day to be with our loved ones, let alone other people, these people that are just toxic forces. I just don't have anything to do with them. So back in the day, I'd be afraid to walk in and be like, oh, I hope someone likes me. That was like my 20-year-old self.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I really don't. I don't even care. Like, I want to find people that I think their energy is attractive. Like they're like good people, and they want to say, you know what, you need to talk to so and so because you guys would be a great connection. So,
do you feel like sometimes though, as a woman, like do you hold yourself back sometimes? 'Cause sometimes I worry about that.
You know what? I think I used to, but now I don't. I just don't. I feel like I've been through so much crap. And I hate this. I'm saying, I'm really, really honest. I've been through so much stuff in business and in life.
You're battle tested.
I feel like I have got the scars, and I'm proud to show them off because it has not been pretty. I've been in the business of beauty, and some of it's been really rough. The things that people say about me in the past, it's funny. You have to be like, okay, that's funny. So there are people that are going to try and knock down that wall, but as long as I have integrity, the one thing you'll carry with you forever is your integrity. They can say whatever they want, but the people that know me know that I will stand firm in my beliefs and supporting each other, and that is what I will carry to my grave, for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just something I've been thinking about lately, which is, because we've been doing so much research and we've been reading a lot about the mission of Radiate is to like turn managers into leaders, right? So we're all about best management practices and how to become, and from that how to become a leader. And so I've been like reading through like a lot of like the most famous management books, leadership books. I myself, outside of writing, but also like reading a lot of other people's works and listening to people's interviews. But I kind of wonder, like, some of it I think to myself, like, does it really apply to me? Because I am a woman, like, does that apply to me?
Yeah.
Not to mention layer in a minority woman.
Sure.
So then, does Jack Welch's book apply to me?
Sure.
Does his leadership tips apply? Like, can I really use his tips? So I've been like thinking about that.
That's very true. That I can understand definitely, because even especially in TV, when you go into a room or a panel full of men, it's interesting. It's been very, very interesting, and especially when you talk about finance or money, it's a different play.
It is.
So you have to kind of go in with confidence, and you have to. I always tell women, especially, because they say, "Are you ever fearful when you walk into a room full of men?" And I say no, in a sense, because I know my stuff. I know that I cannot waver in what I know, and they cannot test me because I have to read everything I can possibly read every day.
Yeah.
I want to surround myself with people that know their stuff, so I feel like I can be a sponge and continuously learn my craft. But I cannot be tested because I know I'm up to date on everything I need to know. And if I'm not, like, oh, okay, how did I miss that?
So you know what you know.
I know what I know, and I'm always.
I think that really does happen with age.
Yes. Yeah. And learn. I always want to learn. I want to go to trade shows. I want to learn. I want to hear. I want to speak. I want to educate. So it's that constant absorption of people's knowledge and what I've learned to share with others, so they don't go through maybe what I've been through. So I feel like now what time is it? Because I know we've been talking. Is it okay?
Yeah, we've been talking for a while, but you know what I feel bad about?
Listen to an hour-long show if you really want to.
I see our wonderful partners here are sweating.
I know. Sorry guys, we love you. I know they're sweating, and they're holding the camera straight too.
Shall we wrap this up?
Yes, we're going to maybe part 2 later, because you could go on for a long time.
For sure.
Their hands are really still, and I feel so bad. But we'll do this again.
Absolutely.
Please tell.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Tell everyone where they can find you online and your books.
Yes.
Radiate.
So Radiate is, the website address is radiateinc.com, and if you like this video, I was gonna say, like, if you want more lives, subscribe to my Facebook page. Also subscribe to Jennifer's page as well for more live updates. But if you would like more of our weekly, we do a weekly Inside Radiate journal on Facebook.
Right.
So if you want to get more of our Facebook live videos, subscribe to our page. My page actually is my personal page, Betty W. LIU, on Facebook.
Great.
So.
Thank you for coming on our walk with Walsh. We didn't walk today because it's a little steamy, so we
Yes.
thought sitting under a bush would be the best thing for us.
And also,
today.
our Radiate viewers know that I've been having back problems.
Yes.
So they've all been. When you mention health, I mean that's like number one.
See?
Absolutely.
She gets it.
But let us know.
So yes, you can follow
viewers
me
know.
on Facebook, Jennifer Walsh 1, I should say, and I'm on Twitter, Behind the Brand, and Instagram, Jennifer Walsh, and I'm snapping away as well. So I'm
Excellent.
always on social, and I talk a lot. So again, if you guys have questions, please ask, and we'll definitely answer them.
Yes.
This weekend.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate it, and thank you for being here. I really
Jennifer.
appreciate you having here.
Thank
You guys have a great weekend.